And a warm welcome to Mount Panorama for round 10 of the IMB World Series here on World Series Leagues. It has been a fantastic season. 10 rounds of the most intense, unbelievable racing you can possibly imagine. And what better way to crowd it off than bringing it here to Mount Panorama in Australia, New South Wales, for just the most unbelievable finish to this season. Joining me tonight on the commentary is, I'm so excited for this. It's a very warm welcome to one of my very good new friends here in the commentary world. A very warm welcome to Chris Honourable. Chris, firstly, thank you for deciding to come on board with us for your commentary debut. It was very unexpected. What brought you along here?
Well, actually, I was talking to Mike from SimSport at Simracing Expo, and just off the cuff mentioned that I wanted to get into commentary, and he's like, you know, if you really want to do this, I can get you in, like, next week. Took me a little bit of time to come around to it, and I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. So, super excited to be here. Very glad that it's actually this track, because some of the speeds that they're going to hit going into the chase, and the S's up at the top, it's just, this track is amazing to watch the racing happen.
Yeah, it certainly is. So, as we said, a very warm welcome. Dave Christie and Chris Honourable going to be taking you through all of the action through both of the races here tonight at Mount Panorama. Free practice is just getting underway just now. We will take you through the grids very shortly. But here is how the championship stands just now. Everything is on the line tonight. Harry Wills in the lead of the Pro Championship from Dean Timms by just 8 points, with Ryan Kaprowski down in third position on 586 points. KDL a little further behind and out of contention with 511 points. Meanwhile, with the Pro-Am standings, that is a different kettle of fish altogether, mostly because you can see there Chase Wilson just ahead of Justin Delano and Achraf El Haddad there. That gap a little bit bigger though, 25 points there. Achraf El Haddad though still in contention with this mathematical possibility to get that Pro-Am title. And then on to the Am standings, again very close at the top. Braden Melling and Michael Fowler, they've been trading places all the way through the season, and just 16 to 17 points separating them coming into these final two rounds, with two races on the cards tonight. Of course, a 25-minute race and then a 50-minute race. But here is how the drivers shape up. Kai DL taking pole position from Harry Wills on the front row of the grid. Jonathan Ouellette is going to be alongside Ethan Bass, with Dean Timms and Ryan Kaprowski alongside. Taylor Lane is going to be in 7th position for the pros, alongside Dan Tenorio as well at the back of that pro grid as well. Stacked Pro-Am field for you. Chase Wilson leads off with James Nunn, Jeremy Littleton alongside Achraf El Haddad, John Traynor, Gary Brown, Erla Rexoy, Justin Delano, Justin Rustow, Eric Kulaga, Stephen Martinez and Michael Kulaga as well, as we get ready to watch the GT3s make their way through. And then at the Amfield as well, you've got Stephen Morcillo, Braden Melling, Michael Fowler, Daniel Florea is in 4th place, Matthew Plaisance, Rick Swan, Andrew Hewitt, John Casey, Eric Blumenkrantz, Charles Michel and Michael Wright at the back of the Ams. And just like that, we've only got enough time to jump to the grid, because the green flag is about to fly. No messing about with this warm-up session. They get a mini formation lap. So we've got 3 starts that we got going here. We've got the pros underway just now, and what we'll do is we will cut to watch all of the starts of the 3 groups here, because pros look like they're underway nice and safely. Chase Wilson in the lead of the Pro-Ams just now, alongside James Nunn there. And they get underway. They have to wait till just after the line to get going here. And away they get going as well. And again, it's going to be the first couple of corners as they come up the hill here. A frantic start for all of the fields here. And Chris, Could you imagine actually being involved in this? Would you fancy being on the field with these cars?
You know, these 90-degree turns always make me so nervous because, you know, you never know what someone's going to do going into them. And then this straightaway that you go all the way up the hill, the mountain straight up to Griffin's Bend, is just so long. It feels like they have all the time in the world to just draft you, catch you, get a little side draft to slow you down and take you in that corner at the top of the hill.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with this track as well, is that it's so intimidating, isn't it? Because you've got those big concrete barriers either side of you. At least with other tracks that are out there, you've got a little bit of leeway, as we see Dean Timms making a move here on Ryan Kaprowski coming down the Conrod straight here. This is one of the most frightening turns, I think, here on the circuit. I wonder if Kaprowski's actually got a bit of a penalty there, because he just seems to have lost 4 positions in the blink of an eye. But as you were saying there, Chris, it makes for a very unique track here, doesn't it? The fact that there's danger almost at every corner.
Yeah, the technical bits up at the top through the S's and the dipper, and then you just go to Conrod straight as fast as your car can possibly go into the right-hander, into the chase. And all the overtaking, you got to position yourself perfectly coming out of Forest Elbow so that you can actually make a move down at the bottom of the hill around Murray's or Hell Corner, one of the two.
Yep. Absolutely spot on observation there, and what we're seeing here is Justin Rustow fighting it out with Eric Kulaga. Absolutely no quarter given between the two of them at this stage in the race here. As you can see, Kulaga trying to go around the outside of that final corner there, not quite happening. You can also see Stephen Martinez just in the background having a little bit of connection issues. That's going to be a little bit of a problem for some of the other cars further behind here. We've already had our first incident of the evening. This is Charles Michel coming down through Skyline, then through the downhill here, and we've seen, if this is what I think it is, we've seen this exact issue. Well, no, actually it's not. Gets caught out there, I think, by the BMW on the way down the hill there, Chris.
Was he nicked there, or was it just a little bit of aggression into the dip down there? I can't tell if they actually made contact or not.
I think you're spot on with that one. I think that might be Michael Les White into the back of him here. Oh no, so he does just lose it all by himself. We have
just
to get
a little too much into the dip, and then lost control just barely.
And that is, that's going to be so typical tonight. We're going to see that quite a few times here. Currently watching Gary Brown just ahead of Errol Rexoy right now. This is a fantastic fight just now for 6th and 7th position with Pro-Am. And as exciting as this track is, I think also what does happen is that there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities here, Chris, because it's such a technical circuit for the majority of it. You've got your 2 long straights, you've got your mountain straight on the run up after turn 1, and then you've got this Conrod straight here where you get a long run and you've got a chance to make a move here, but there's almost no chance of doing that going up or down the hill.
Yeah, it's about 50% of this track is just straight lines, so you have to make your moves coming out of corners, going into corners somewhere. And some of the big opportunities are going to be, of course, after the chase into Murray's, when you can get right up next to someone. But you're right, up in the S's and the dipper, you can't really do too much to overtake another car unless there's a mistake like we just saw.
Yeah, as we're still watching at the moment Gary Brown just now in that Pro-Am battle. So just to remind you folks at home as well about our colouring system, when we move to the white block on the left hand side, that is the Pro group of cars, so you get a reference of where they are. We used to do it where we'd have all 3 groups on at a time. As we see Harry Wells, right, okay, well this is great education for you here, Chris. This is our one of our championship admins. I'm sure you've maybe seen him in the Discord chat every now and again, and we love our Harry, we do. Unfortunately, he is devastatingly fast, but he also has a habit of finding walls and other inanimate objects to hit his car against at rather high speed.
Just beyond his limit.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. That's how quickly this track can bite you here. Let's see what happened. Oh, that is a huge hit.
That's a big one.
that's going to certainly jog your noggin, hitting that, and then of course you're just a passenger, and yeah, there's
flying down the hill all the way down Conrad right there, just bouncing off the walls like a pinball. Yeah, it's tough to save anything there. Just hopefully you don't break a wheel off and end your entire race. Oh, we got another incident here. Oh.
Yep, Michael Fowler there, straight into the barriers on the exit of turn 3. Again, it's a common place to see it, but yeah, it's Harry Wills.
Just missed the breaking point by a meter, and you can be in the wall just like that.
Absolutely. It makes it so difficult here at Mountain Panorama, because the margin for error, you know, you think of most European tracks like Monza or Imola, or even over here in the UK, Silverstone or something like that, the margin for error is fairly lenient. You know, you can make a mistake and get away with it, but you make a mistake here at Mountain Panorama and you've got a very high chance, Chris, of destroying your race immediately.
Yeah, you're right into a wall 1 meter off the edge of the white line. You can't even really stretch the boundaries of the track at all. You've got to stay within.
So we're watching James Nunn here chasing down your race leader for the Pro-Ams right now. Chase Wilson ahead by just 0.3 of a second over James Nunn right now. So fascinating little battle that we've got going on here with these two cars, the Lamborghinis, making their way up the hill. And the Lamborghinis, Chris, is something that we do not tend to see in the EU series, the European version of the series that happens earlier on tonight, but been very popular here in the US series. And again, one of the things that we were speaking about off air is the fact that iRacing, a complete overhaul with its physics just a couple of weeks ago, and the drivers essentially still having to try and get used to that a little bit. Obviously you're kind of getting into the sim racing platforms and you do a little bit of Assetto Corsa, but you know, how much of a change do you think that would be? Like if you had everything that you knew and then suddenly a lot of it, or a large majority of it, changes, and I'd imagine that's a heck of a relearning thing for the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing about virtual motorsport over, you know, real life motorsport is that you don't get the feeling, you don't get the G-forces, you don't get to, you know, sense the car any way other than in your wheel. So when there's a major overhaul to a physics engine or a tire model or anything like that, then all of the stuff that you've spent the entire season memorizing is all kind of out the window at that point, because you don't necessarily know what the actual changes are going to do to how your car performs, how it goes into a turn like this one here. You have to relearn the car completely. So something that you've been comfortable with, you entered because it was your favorite car or the best car that you can drive for that series, all of a sudden now might not be that car.
And I guess that's a massive issue for a lot of these drivers, especially coming into the tail end. So they've had to do 2 rounds since those physics changes here on the iRacing platform. But for those of you who, or for those of our viewers, Chris, who haven't heard you on the, say, like the Grid Finder podcast, do you want to give a little sort of introduction to your experiences with sim racing?
Sure. So my sim racing career started way back in Need for Speed 1, I believe it was, in the 90s. And in those days it was keyboard. So you have the W and Q key as your turn right and turn left, and not exactly the best simulation, I'm doing air quotes here, of course, for driving. But it upgrades over time, and analog controllers started coming out. I think there was a period where I tried to race with a flight controller just because it had the analog inputs.
What? How did that go?
That went about as well as you would figure it would go. So, turning a flight stick back and forth to turn, it was nice because you did have analog control, but it just didn't work for driving. It just wasn't a natural movement for driving. Over the course of years, I played a bunch of the Gran Turismo games and miscellaneous racing games throughout the course of PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Xbox, and finally, I think it was about PS3 days is when I had the urge to get a wheel, and I finally bought myself just a Logitech G Series wheel, and that was the end. I fell in love at that point, because up until I got a wheel, sim racing was kind of more of like a, oh yeah, I don't feel like playing some of my other games, so I'll go ahead and race in like Need for Speed or something like that, right? Once I got a wheel, completely 100% addicted to sim racing, and it's kind of just progressed ever since. You race with Logitechs for a long time. I think I went through 3 different ones, the 25, the 27, and the 29. And then ultimately, I think we all try to get a little bit higher on the podium, if you will, and get into like Fanatec. I haven't gone past Fanatec yet, and so far I've been really loving their wheels, and that's where I'm at the time, is with a Fanatec DD1, and I absolutely love that thing.
Now, it's a great point that you bring up sim racing hardware. It's firstly on the joystick thing. That it takes me back to the days when I started on a game called Live for Speed, and there was the option to actually control the car with your mouse. You'd use the left button for accelerate, right button to brake, and the mouse actually, you would move the mouse left if you wanted to turn left and right, and you had this, very, very complicated. But again, it actually worked out okay, because again, it was analog and you kind of got used to it. However, you're obviously just back from the Sim Racing Expo in Germany with Grid Finder, and I want to get your honest opinion. Were you slightly taken aback when you saw some of the prices for some of the sim racing gear out there?
Yes, especially the new technologies out now, and the SimiCube force feedback pedals. The technology is very, very cool, and it does add a bit of realism, I would say, to the brake pedal specifically. Not really to a clutch or a gas pedal, because let's be honest, you don't really feel anything in those pedals. We have an incident out there.
Yeah, Jeff
on
Carollo.
Griffin's Bend, he's facing the completely wrong direction. That's going to be a difficult one.
Right?
Get a little Austin Powers turn here, 14-point turn.
I think he's going to do it, to be fair. I think,
just a little bit of bodywork damage, and he's
fine.
He's
nobody
at least
noticed.
Going back forward again.
Nobody noticed a thing.
Yeah,
until we realise we can go and check his replay. Right, let's see. We've got a funny feeling it's going to be exactly the same. Hooks the curb on the inside. That's going to unsettle the car, and he's gone before he even hits the curb on the outside. But I think that did look a little bit more dramatic than it actually was here. And we'll quickly jump to a replay of Stephen Martinez. Now, he's been having some...
distracted by the connection issues we have going on here.
Yeah, he's... so it's flagging him up that he's had an incident, but I think that's literally just that he's
oh, no.
not... Well,
and see, there's the mental toll that one mistake can possibly take on you, unless there's damage to his car and it's pulling one way or another. But the mental toll that one big mistake can take on you can really affect the next collection of laps that you're going to run on a course, especially like this, coming down that giant hill.
Well, you're saying about the mental toll. The mental toll on me was unbelievable, because I was positive I clicked back to the live action there, and that actually did just happen right in front of our very eyes. So very, very lucky. Let's give you an update on what is happening with the race then. This is the Pro Battle just now. KDL in that Twisted Racing Machine just ahead of Jonathan Ouellette. And again, fantastic racing that you're getting on. The Twisted team really doing a number here. We've got Twisted 1, 2 and 3. Dean Timms in third place as well. And then over into the... I will come back to that, because you'd think with them being teammates, they'd be maybe try to take it easy, but no such luck.
No team orders to go easy on each other in this race, huh?
I think the team order is just try not to die. That seems
crash
to
out.
Yeah. Well, Harry Wills is on Twister as well, so I'm not sure not crashing out is on the team orders. I only say these things because I just wait for the day that Harry is going to start giving me grief in the chat there as well. So Kai DL in the lead ahead of Jonathan Ouellette, and Dean Timms in third position. Taylor Lane in fourth with Dan Tenorio in fifth. Yeah, he just rubbed the grass there, Jonathan Ouellette, in that second position. Moving down to the Pro-Ams then, it's Chase Wilson with James Nunn, Jeremy Littleton and Achraf El Haddad just behind there. Cracking little four-car battle. We'll keep an eye on that. But Stefan Marcillo in the lead of the AMS as well, with Daniel Florea, if I can even say that properly, and then Braden Mailing in third position just now. So we've got proper little fights going on here, because this little battle here with the Pro-Ams is James Nunn. Good God almighty, Chris.
Good.
that is...
corner, that spot's getting a lot of people this race. That was intense.
Let's go on boards.
Around. That looks like one of my crashes on Sim Sundays. Oh, here we go. Oh.
That's a bit of PTSD deja vu for you there, Chris.
That is one of the let go of the wheel and just see what happens.
Oh my lord. So what's actually happened here, and you can see that car's already gone before he starts turning right. It's a snap oversteer. The car flies into the corner, at which point he's just a passenger and gets launched up into the air. My goodness me, that is a hard hit for James Dunn. That car's almost certainly going to be out the race, but back with the battles going on, Justin Rustow and Gary Brown coming down the chase here. That is not a corner where you want to be playing chicken with.
No, that's the fastest corner, and it's all about positioning right here, because you can make a move in the chase, or like I've said before, in Murray's corner, you can overtake here, but it doesn't look like there's any positioning to be able to execute right here.
And that's exactly it. That was a huge moment there for Gary Brown there. That back end, Chris, just it gives that little bit of a wobble.
The curbs are just big enough to throw the equilibrium of the cars just off, so that you get a little bit of slide coming out of these corners. And I know that feeling. Coming into a corner, you feel like you're going to cut it just a little bit to try to gain some time, and then all of a sudden your back end sliding around the exit, and you're gripping the wheel as hard as you can to try to correct that steer.
And it's so difficult to do, isn't it? Because especially on iRacing here, it makes the feedback, as you were mentioning about the sim racing hardware as well. It's what makes having good tactile feedback so important, to learn where those edges of control are. And good lord, Kai DL having to go super defensive,
taking it to his teammate.
Yeah,
good positioning.
Jonathan Roulette, though, determined to try and get this position as they go side by side, come down into Murray's corner, then down into that final bend. And well, you get the feeling that this is just going to rage on and on.
I feel like we're trying to get a little bit of side draft going on to slow him down a little bit. It looked like he was trying to get to his quarter panel there a little before the corner, but didn't quite make it up to where he should have.
Well, if you can believe this,
Chris, now it's all about positioning and just placing yourself in the right spot so that you can go through the technical bit and maybe make another move on the other side of the track.
I was just about to say, if you can believe this, Chris, we're already over 3/4 of the way through your very first race commentary. So this is absolutely flying by tonight.
It sure is, and it does help with a little bit of drama, because it's. I'm from America, so NASCAR, part of the excitement is really only the drama. If you're watching, we have an incident.
Yeah, Matthew Plaisance. I thought facing the wrong way down the hill, but thankfully he's got things going again. Looks like that's been a hard hit into the wall here, down through Skyline, down the
Skyline got him.
Down through the hill, and it might just be that he's looped the car, so it's not too bad actually. He'll get away with that, I think.
Yeah, he got away with that one. It's that right before the dip. That dipper gets you, because you're coming through the S's, you're feeling confident, and then all of a sudden the car just loses all of its weight. And then if you're just a little bit heavy on that gas, then you just spin the car really easily right there.
And I think that's one of the concepts that really has baffled sim racers when they start getting into it, is if they've maybe not driven an actual car before, is that understanding of inertia and weight transfer from, say, the back of the car to the front of the car when you touch the brakes, and the effect that can have, especially here as we've got a car down there. That is going to be, is that Charles Michel? I think it is, that is facing down that bottom of the hill there. It is, that's the number 21. So he gets going again. I think he's just avoiding all the cars behind him, and he's several laps down, just not wanting to make trouble for himself.
Yeah, that seemed like the trucker pulling over on the freeway, letting all the cars go by in traffic, and then continuing on his merry way.
Yeah, he's a very, very polite soul. That's unlike me. Unfortunately, my monkey brain just kicks in, and the foot goes down a little bit harder to try and keep a position on a car that's several laps ahead of me, which never makes sense, never goes down well, and usually ends up in some choice, fruity language on the old voice chat there. But it's one of the things that I think that why we love it is the fact that, you know, we do both do sim racing ourselves as well, and part of the reason I do the commentary is because I'm no good at sim racing. I still enjoy it, still love taking part, but you see the pace and the consistency, Chris, of some of these drivers, and it's absolutely bewildering, isn't it?
I just can't keep consistent laps all the way through. So lately I've been more of a rally racer and dirt rally because it feels like I don't need to be consistent throughout. So, you know, taking the same corner 13, 14 times, whatever it may be, depending on the race length, I'll end up making the same mistakes we've seen here, where you're going through, we'll take this this track. You're going through the S's and you're just kind of losing your attention a little bit, and then all of a sudden you've just gone into a corner just a little heavy, and that's the end of your race, or that's the end of the good portion of your race because you fell behind so much.
And I suppose as opposed to rallying, where the worst thing that can happen is, you know, you miss a corner and you're into a field or you're into a tree. So the odds are a little bit more, I guess, stacked in your favour. But like you said, it's more about the aggregate rather than this constant, you know, machine-like churning lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, it's very difficult to keep this level of consistency, and we've seen it again and again, even in this race. It's just a small mistake here, a small mistake there, and all of a sudden your race is a completely different outcome than you came in anticipating.
Yeah, that's always not what you want to happen here. But let's bring it up to speed here on the final minute and a half here of our first race of the evening here at Mount Panorama. Kai DL in the lead of Jonathan Ouellette, and Dean Timms in third place. Taylor Lane in fourth, Dan Tenorio in fifth, and sixth place is Ethan Bass for the pros. Moving on to the Pro-Ams, Chase Wilson is in the lead of Jeremy Littleton just now, just coming through some back marker traffic there. Jeremy Littleton 1.6 seconds behind Akraf El Haddad in third position, with John Traynor down in fourth. Errol Arexoy in fifth for that as well. And then on to the AMS, Steven Morcillo in the lead of that by, that surely cannot be right, it is 14, in fact 16 seconds ahead of Daniel Florea there, as we've got a car deciding to cause all sorts of issues for itself with network problems just now. Braden Mailing in third position, Rick Swan in fourth, and Michael Fowler in fifth. But that does mean that we are about to start our final lap of the race, and it's all about this here, whether Jonathan Ouellette can make a move here.
It looks like he's trying to get that side draft again. Oh, did we have contact? Was
yeah.
that network contact? I think it was.
Ooh, that was a wild moment between Jonathan Ouellette there and Kai DL. But the roundabout of it is that Jonathan Ouellette takes the lead then from Kai DL after many laps of trying. It has finally happened, and you can absolutely guarantee Kai DL is not going to have that lying down. White flag flies in here at Mount Panorama for our first race of the evening. Final lap underway, and your pros already making their way through, and it does look like that is actually the closest battle as Ethan Bass into the pits there. That's some big damage on that car as well.
Yeah, some big damage. I didn't happen to see anything. You have to wonder though, was Jonathan Ouellette, was he waiting, and he found his opening many laps ago in the chase over there, waiting, biding his time, and then all of a sudden the opening happened because of a small mistake from Kai? You have to wonder, because it was executed as if he knew where he was going to make his move.
I think that's exactly what has happened, and I think that's the only way you can actually get a proper overtake done here is by stalking your prey. You have to, know what your opponent is going to do, especially, and we'll see this loads during the final race of the evening very, very shortly, that 50-minute race where drivers will be behind other cars for a little bit longer, and they just have to kind of bide their time and wait patiently to get the opportunity. And I think this is it for Michael Fowler and Rick Swan. That's going to be a slowdown penalty for Rick Swan on the exit of that Forest Elbow, so that hands 2 positions over. We have to cut back to our race leaders then, Jonathan Lett and Kai DL. This is the final lap of the race.
Here's the attack.
So they've swapped positions back.
It's the same move. No contact this time, even though it looked like there may or may not have been contact. It depends on maybe network, but that was the exact same move. That's why it's so dangerous. If you don't do it on the very final lap, they can always come back and bite you. Yep, here's one last attempt right at the end.
Wow, that was an incredible finish then from Jonathan Lett. 1/10 of a second behind Kai DL on the finish of that. Dean Tim's going to come across the line in 3rd, Taylor Lane in 4th, and Dan Tenorio in 5th. We move back to the Pro-Am. What a performance for Chase Wilson. A 2.5 seconds ahead of Jeremy Littleton and Achraf El Haddad, who is hounding Jeremy Littleton for an inch of his life right now. But that pink and white Wilson Racing Lamborghini comes through the final corner, comes across the line to win race 1 here for the Pro-Am category as well. 2nd place for Jeremy Littleton, Achraf El Haddad in 3rd position. And we'll move back then to Daniel Florea now, who is in the leads of the AMs. Now, what on earth has happened here?
Whoa,
because, Stefan Morcello... Stefan Morcello was in the leads of this race here. Oh my good lord, that is a huge hit at the top of Skyline, and that's game over. That car's out. Wow.
That curb has bitten a bunch of the drivers today. Just going around a little too fast, throw the balance of the car off, and then you're out of control instantaneously.
My goodness me. So that is your AM leader losing the race on the final lap. Daniel Florea, though, comes across the line to take the win in race 1. Braden Mailing in 2nd position. Michael Fowler in 3rd place. Wow, that was absolutely intense. And, well, I guess there's worse races to have for your first commentary gig there, Chris.
Yeah. I watched a couple of the races leading up to this one, and I knew that it was going to be drama-filled because there's just... everyone wants it. Everyone pushes to that limit, and sometimes a little past the limit, and it just seems like, they're really trying for these points.
That is exactly what has happened here. We're just waiting on Rick Swan coming across the line, and then when he does, we will have our final results coming up for you in just a couple of seconds' time. But what a race we've had here for Mount Panorama for our first race of the evening. An incredible 25-minute race here. 50 minutes is what we've got on the cards coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. And
the real test of endurance.
Yeah, and that's
how
it.
Many laps can you put together that are perfect laps? Always searching for that perfect lap.
Well, that is what we are going to find out very shortly. Here is the results then from race number 1. Kai Dale taking the win from Jonathan Ouellette. Dean Timms in 3rd place. Taylor Lane in 4th. Dan Tenorio in 5th. Ethan Bass in 6th position. Ryan Kaprowski in 7th. Harry Wills rounding out the field there by not finishing. No surprises there. Unfortunately for Harry, I'm praying that he gets a good result in race number 2. Pro-Ams then. Chase Wilson takes the win from Jeremy Littleton and Achraf El Haddad, just 3 seconds separating the top 3 there. John Traynor in 4th, Errol Rexoy in 5th, Justin Rustow in 6th, Justin Delano in 7th, Gary Brown in 8th, Stephen Martinez in 9th, Eric Kulaga in 10th, Michael Kulaga in 11th, James Nunn in 12th, and Jeff Carollo finishing out 7 laps down in 13th position. over to the AM results then, and it's Daniel Florea taking that last lap victory ahead of Braden Mailing, Michael Fowler in third, Michael Wright in fourth position, Rick Swan in fifth, Stephen Morsillo after leading the entirety of the race, crashing out on that final lap there, John Casey in seventh, Charles Bichelle in eighth, Matthew Plaisance in ninth, Andrew Hewitt in 10th, and Eric Blumenkrantz in 11th position. Well, let's have a chat to one of our drivers then. Let's bring in Braden Mailing for a quick chat. Braden, a very good evening. That was an unexpected, I would imagine, second place for yourself, but you must be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that the leader crashed on the last lap. It's just all of a sudden I'm checking the results and I see his name keep rolling down. I was like, what the heck? I thought, like, oh, maybe he's messing around, took the jump, got a penalty from that. And then I looked at replays, like, no, he crashed.
And it was a brutal crash at the top of just before Skyline as well. And again, it just shows how easily things can go from hero to zero.
Oh no, yeah, this track is brutally unforgiving. Like, you make one little mess up and you're going straight into the walls. And yeah, he showed, like, even if you're doing good the entire race, it just takes a minor slip up and you're in the wall.
And then finally, race 2 coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. What's the top secret strategy for it?
Top secret strategy for race 2 is take the jump every time.
I like that. Yeah,
you get
okay.
The best times every lap if you take that jump. Doesn't matter if you got to stop and go every lap.
Excellent stuff. Well, Braden, thanks very much for that, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you after race 2.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks for having me.
Excellent stuff. Well, we've just got time to have a quick chat with Chase Wilson. Chase, congratulations on winning the Pro-Am race there. Obviously, some huge points for your championship standings. Justin Zolano finishing down in 7th. I believe that should put you outside mathematically getting caught there, but either way, going into race 2, you must be very, very happy.
Yeah, David, it's definitely a step in the right direction, but there's a second race. Just like we know, every event week, we've got 2 races, and I'll be starting P10, which is going to be in the thick of it in the Pro-Am group. So it's going to be keeping it clean, something I haven't been able to do the last few weeks, but foot in the right direction, and hopefully I can just keep this momentum up.
How difficult is Mount Panorama?
It is the most difficult, if not just mentally. My thoughts go out to James. He was absolutely ripping right behind me. And when you have another Lamborghini that close, it makes for some pucker moments for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Race 2, obviously twice the distance. You've got a pit stop thrown in for extra measure. How are you going to be handling that?
We'll see how it shapes up after the first few laps, but I think this is a track that with a 2-minute lap time, there's going to be some options for maybe pit strategy or maybe taking tires, try that whole thing out. But we'll see. I think it's going to be a really fun second race, and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff. Well, Chase, best of luck for race 2, and we'll catch up with you hopefully after that.
Yeah, fingers crossed, guys. Talk soon.
Excellent stuff. So Chase Wilson there having a quick chat with us. So, Chris, I mean, a topsy-turvy race 1 really kind of gave us quite a lot, but race 2 coming up very shortly. What are you thinking ahead of that?
Being twice the distance, being such a long race, just like the drivers were echoing, it's a tough track. It's unforgiving. You make one little mistake that normally on other tracks you wouldn't be penalized for, and you're in a wall here. So it's going to be a mental toll. It's going to be just trying to find the correct spot to make those moves, and maybe a little bit of pit strategy, like Chase was saying, that could help them out.
Well, that's exactly what we are going to be finding out very, very shortly. We're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes' time with live coverage of race 2 here for the World Series League. GT3 Season 4, Round 10, the final rounds here from Mount Panorama. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Let go. Chill. 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 Let go. Chill. Chill. Let go. Chill. Chill.
Hit that. With that. Hit that.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Mount Panorama here, or at least the virtual recreation of Mount Panorama here in Australia for round 10 of the IMB World Series Season 4. And oh my goodness me, what a race we have got in store for you. We've got a 15-minute race coming up very, very shortly, but what we do have to give you is some context. So let's have a look at the championship standings so far. Dean Timms now takes the lead from Harry Wills after Harry Wills having that incident there. So that gap now 28 points. Harry Wills came into the lead into this round in the lead of the championship. Ryan Kaprowski now out of mathematical equation in this one. Chase Wilson in the lead of the Pro-Am standings. Again, it's within possibility that Justin Delano can still do this, but it has to be an absolute disaster for Chase Wilson to lose that Pro-Am title right now. And then moving on to Am title as well, Braden Mailing now. This is the closest of them all right now. 19 points between him and Michael Fowler just now. So everything all rests on this final race. But a very warm welcome back. This is, of course, David Christie here with Chris Honorball making his commentary debut. Chris, welcome to at the IMB GT3 Season 4 finale. What did you make then of that first race, and are you excited for race number 2?
Absolutely excited. That first race, there was drama all over the track. Just spin outs, wall connections, just this track is so unforgiving. I can't wait to see what the drivers are going to do with this length of a race, because it's going to be mentally tolling on them to make that perfect lap for so long.
Well, that's exactly what is going to happen here. 50 minutes of this absolute chaos. Ethan Bass leads off Dan Tenorio. Remember, we swap behind the top 10 for race 2. Taylor Lane on row 2 with Dean Timms, Jonathan Lett and Kai DL, with Ryan Kaprowski leading out the field with Harry Wills. Harry has it all to do after that incident earlier on. Eric Kulaga is going to lead off the Pro-Ams with Stephen Martinez and Gary Brown. Justin Delano on that second row as well. Row 3 is going to be Justin Rousseau, Errol Rexoy. Then on row 4 is John Trainer and Achraf El Haddad. Row 5 is going to be Jeremy Littleton and Chase Wilson. Michael Kulaga, James Nunn in row 6, and then Jeff Carollo at the back of that Pro-Am field. And then moving on to the AMs, it's going to be Andrew Hewitt ahead of Matthew Plaisance, Charles Michel and John Casey. Stephen Morcello, who was so cruelly denied that first race win, ahead of Rick Swan. Michael Wright with Michael Fowler on row 4. Braden Mailing and Daniel Florea rounding out the field in row 5. So that's how they line up then ahead of this second race this evening. You can see there Ethan Bass in the lead of the pro field. Remember, we've got 3 classes, 3 separate starts are going to be happening tonight for this second race, 50-minute race, mandatory pit stop, but it all comes down to Ethan Bass. It's up to him when he decides to go. They've got a restart zone that they're allowed to put the pedal down. He's not quite in that just yet. Now he is. He lifts on that throttle and away goes down into Hell Corner. Then for the first time, have a look at Dan Tenorio up the inside there. That was almost certainly contact between the two of them, but they managed to sort themselves out and keep going. Back to the Pro-Am fight then. Gary Brown sets that foot down. He is off into the corner, absolutely unquestioned from Justin Delano and Justin Ristow. So they've got things going pretty carefully back down there. We've got 2 cars joining from pit lane. That's Stephen Martinez and Eric Kulaga. Back to the AMs then to catch the AM start, and then we'll be able to catch up with all the action that is going on throughout the field. Andrew Hewitt leads off Stephen Morcello. Now Morcello somehow has got himself up into P2, P3, and he was starting on row 4, so I'm not sure how that's happened there, but it has, and he's managed to make some hay while the sun shines here. Charles Michel joining from pit lane, so they've got underway. Let's go back up with the pro class, and that is Dean Timms getting overtaken by Kai DL and Harry Wills. So that is the worst place, Chris, that you want to get a slowdown. It's right at the top of an unsighted corner.
Yeah, that's a bad spot to have to let up, because this is not a normal place for people to overtake, so you should be able to hold people back. You should be able to keep your slot up here and position yourself perfectly. But if you have to lift up, then now you have to catch back up again, and you're just out of the contention all the way down the hill.
Yes, absolutely are, and we've got a big crash on the hill then. Justin Rustow into the wall, and you get a feeling that that is going to be a carbon copy, but I don't think we even need to look at the replay to figure out what's happening
His
there.
wing is missing and everything.
Yeah, I think his pride and his ego are going to be a little bit missing as well, Chris, after that one, because it looks like that thing's gone backwards into the wall there. But this is a fantastic little demonstration, because one of the new things that they changed on iRacing, as well as the physics, is that all of these cars have got this new damage model as well. So that is the first time that we've seen actual body parts essentially from the car coming flying off. But here comes Stephen Morcillo already into the lead of this race, and where on earth did he come from?
Look at this fight going in. Ooh, that might have been network contact as well, because sometimes when they get close like that, there's a little bit of a network difference between the two cars, and you can get some contact in there. And the counter steering situation looked like there was a little bit more than just a fear of hitting the other racer in there.
Oh, and Hewitt goes deep into that final corner there, gets absolutely mugged there, losing 7 positions out of that one corner, and your heart really has to go out to Andrew Hewitt there. To be fair though, I wondered maybe if there was a bit of contact there, is there damage to that Porsche?
It seems like there might be. There's no reason to lose that many places just from a little bit of sweat and tears from an incident that happened that didn't result in... Oh, we have another one here.
Oh dear.
Austin Powers turn once again.
Oh no, and there's AM cars
turn.
coming as well. They're going to be on him very, very quickly indeed. Thankfully, look at that. He just got that going before those AM cars came round that corner. That is the luckiest, I think, outcome of that moment I think we possibly could have had here.
He was probably cursing, going, they're coming, I gotta get out of here, because that would have been a broadside hit without a doubt.
Oh yeah, that car would have been sent into the stratosphere. I've got no doubt whatsoever about this one. Back up with leaders then. Ethan Bass leads Dan Tenorio from Taylor Lane. So the three of them duking it out still. You've got Kai DL just off into the background. It's Jeff Carollo again playing pinball with the wall, as is Matthew Plaisance just behind him there. So now he's firmly into these AM cars here, and possibly going to be holding them up a little bit here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to throw a wrench in his strategy, because when you're in traffic, it doesn't matter what kind of traffic you're in, it's going to change your overall approach to every corner on the track. Right now, he's looking in his rearview mirror, waiting for something to happen. And, you know, anytime you're looking in your rear view instead of in front of you at the next corner, it could end in disaster.
And it usually does if you're me. You're usually looking behind, and it's suddenly you're looking up into the sky and thinking, this doesn't seem right. But what does seem right is this cracking battle that we've got going on here for the leads of the race right now. So Ethan Bass leads Dan Tenorio, but that car is starting to get really, really squiggly. And the great thing again about these changes here, Chris, is the fact that up until now, that car, that Ford, just was not competitive at all. That Orbit Motorsports machine of Ethan Bass, it was not, didn't have any pace. And now, since the balance of performance changes, it's right on the money again.
Yeah, it's got to be really relieving to have your car go from not competitive to something that you can drive and you can get placement with. In that situation, though, the person in front has the most stress out of everyone there, because they're trying to keep the pace. They're trying to... Oh, we have it. Well, was that a car part that was laying in the road there?
That was. They escaped back to the garage just in time. So Gary Brown, it looks like, has crashed just over through Skyline then, and that's a huge lock up of the brakes there. Wow. Bits of bodywork going flying, and that car gets absolutely nailed. That's Errol Rexoy that went into that one. So he escaped back to the pits as soon as he possibly could. But more chaos as Kai DL and Taylor Lane now fighting it out here. So Everything is going on, and there's been a monster crash with Braden Mailing at the top of the hill as well. So what on earth is going on here? We've got cars going off left, right and centre.
Skyline is claiming a lot of people's races today. This is drama-filled action right here for sure.
Oh my lord, so there was cars just slowing down right in the middle of the track. What on earth happened there? You see, it was
Looks
that
like
54.
Someone braked early, and it just domino effect on everyone behind them.
Yeah, that's... Let's try and see if we can figure out what happened here. Oh, so they've seen a crash happen up here, and they've slowed down to avoid it, and there's some cars behind them that were just, like, not having anything to do with it.
Just like we were talking about, that's the looking in your rear view mirror. They saw that someone slowed down in front of them. They look... Another.
So that's what led to it. Yeah, that's what led to it. Oh
there
man!
It is. So they saw the crash. They look up in their rear view real quick, and then all of a sudden they look down, and they're right in the back end of the person in front of them. That's exactly what we were talking about.
Lord, what is actually going on here?
Oh.
This is amazing. I've never seen so many crashes.
Are we broadcasting Wreckfest right now?
I might have to go and check that shortly. That's incredible. Oh, and the contact sent into the wall there. That was the Mercedes on the inside there. Two cars into one corner. Just that's never going to happen. It's never.
Well, I
going
guess
to work.
if you're gonna have drama, you're gonna want everyone to have drama.
What? What on earth just happened there? That was Dan Tenorio going round the outside. No way. No way has he just done that. That's outrageous. Right, we need to get a replay of that. But that is one of the most ballsy moves I think I've ever seen. So he goes round the outside, coming into the chase here of Ethan Bass. Not only does he hold up...
fast right corner and just pins it down, barely brakes at all.
And just absolutely sends that up the inside there. That was inspired driving there from Dan Tenorio. Wow, well, there you go. So Ethan Bass, you get the feeling he's going to be sent into the clutches of Kai DL for this pro battle now. And I hate to remind everyone, but we've got another 40 minutes of this.
Yeah, we've just started. We're just now 9 minutes in. And half the field has probably been in the pits for repairs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the thing with that is that counts as their pit stop if they want it to. So if they can make it on fuel, they could roll into the pits and they could actually take this as their pit stop. So yeah, they'll lose a couple of minutes to do repairs and stuff, but it's a lot quicker than having to escape back to the garage.
Right, and if everyone else is having incidents as well, maybe there's a little strategy going on out there.
You would like to think so. Certainly with the race being so early, that would be what I would be tempted to do. And you said something during the first race about keeping your foot in the game and just keeping on trying no matter what actually goes on here. And as I thought, Kai DL having a look to Ethan Bass here, even if you do have a terrible start to the race, you have to think that you're going to be able to try and do something with that.
Oh, we're going outside again.
Yeah, he's been done again. So Ethan Bass just not able to hold on to that position there.
You got to wonder if that car is just not able to take that corner at speed. Maybe there's downforce changes, and you said the balance of power is a little bit better to make it faster, so now the driver has to adjust to a faster car. That could take a lot of wind out of your sails.
Harry Wills.
A little spicy.
that was a wild entry. I wonder if he's going to get a drive-through for that, because that seemed very, very borderline the way that he entered that pit lane there, because it's not just the speed, it's also the behaviour in which you enter into the pits. Jeff Carollo jumps back to the pit lane, so he's had another issue as well. And unfortunately what this means is that the most of the AM field has been completely spread out as well, with the exception of Rick Swan and Daniel Florea here. So Florea taking that position from Rick Swan. Swan's going to try and hold it on the outside, but not quite going to happen there. So I mean, what a crazy, crazy 11 minutes it's been. And this brings up another point as well here, Chris, is the fact that, you know, for a lot of these drivers, they're going to want to settle down. They're going to want to get themselves into a rhythm. All this chaos and all these accidents, it's just going to prolong that sense of trying to knuckle down and actually get on with the race.
Completely agreed, because you now have hope. So even if you've had a big incident and had to go back to the pits for a good amount of time for repairs, you still have that knowledge that there's a lot of incidents happening out there, and if you push hard enough, you could be back in the fight. So that's going to possibly increase the number of incidents, increase the pace at which people are pushing themselves to go.
Yeah, that is a very, very sort of salient point here. As, oh dear goodness, Akraf El Haddad, that is a big F in chat for that one, because that car in a very, very precarious position there. Justin Rustow has crashed as well, so that car back to the pit lane. Let's see what has happened here with Akraf El Haddad. So he's all by himself, so this is going to be a solo incident, and yet again at Skyline. Goodness me.
The balance of the car, when you come up the hill right there, and then you just tap that ouch.
That's Justin Rustow that was there.
He was a sitting duck. He was pretty much in the middle of the track, blocking 60% of it. Nothing he could do.
Here's on board then with Justin Rustow to see what he saw here. That car's going to be over the hill, so you're not going to see
you have
anything.
No visibility. Where is it? Okay.
Oh, you just no avoiding that whatsoever.
Yeah, there wasn't a wide enough area, front or back, for anyone to squeeze through. So that was, unless you could get slowed down in some kind of magical way, but not with these cars, not with the weight.
So I've just checked. I believe we accidentally might have went into a Wreckfest race instead. Sorry about that, Chris. We might accidentally.
See. Now it's starting to make sense now.
I was going to say, when did Wreckfest get Lamborghinis in it? That's
hey.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played Wreckfest. I wasn't very good at that either, but thoroughly enjoyed it. To be fair, I did enjoy like the Destruction Derby and Destruction Derby 2 when I was growing up. So yeah, it does come from that ilk. And again, it's a question I've asked actually. Because we've got all of these super realistic sims, as we see Dan Tenorio getting overtaken by Ethan Bass there. We go on about all these super realistic sims and hardcore racers and all that sort of stuff as well, but there's still a massive market for games like Wreckfest, for Art of Rally, for Zen Drift, and I always see them as relaxation games for racers.
I completely agree there, because I guess there's two categories of racing games. There's the arcade games, and then there's the sim games, right? And when you get to playing an arcade game, you just kind of have fun with it. So, at times when you're trying to be super competitive, especially in a game like iRacing, where you're paying a pretty good amount of money to actually be racing on a consistent basis, you get into that mindset where it's almost not a game anymore, and you're not enjoying yourself as much. So you have to turn off sometimes and play those arcade games and just remember that sometimes sliding around a corner and flipping a car is actually fun and not gonna ruin your safety rating or anything, right?
Well, exactly. And the thing is that I wonder if we lose sight of that sometimes with sim racing. The fact that everybody's on this quest for immersiveness, and it's got to be as realistic as possible. And I just wonder if we kind of lose sight of the fact that we're also supposed to have space in our lives for something that we enjoy, for something that sometimes doesn't make sense, for something that isn't quite 100% realistic. And I think that's exactly where games like that, for me, like even Rocket League will sit in that as well, because it's cars, it's kind of like football as well, and I just really, really enjoy it. It's a games like that are just so good for mentally switching off.
Yeah, one of my guilty pleasure games, even though you can take it seriously and the graphics look beautiful, is Forza Horizon. the open world, just buying cars, just kind of driving around, and then the races that are just kind of waypoint races around the giant map. It's not something that you're going to memorize every single corner, every single point where you have to brake. It's just have some fun. And that's kind of my guilty pleasure of, I don't really want to try tonight. I just want to drive.
I don't think that's a guilty pleasure at all. I've seen quite a few of my friends. In fact, one of our fellow producers here, Steve, is a big fan of Forza Horizon. Steve Proudley, I've seen him on that many a time. It does look really, really good fun as well. Bright visuals and really nice locations, and it just looks like an absolute blast as well. And I think that's what you need sometimes, just to blow the old cobwebs away. But certainly not needing to blow any cobwebs away are the Twisted Racing team, because they are out front. Kai DL, Jonathan Lett, Dan Tenorio showing what for just now. One man who might need a little bit of help blowing something away is poor Matthew Plaisance, who, well, at least he's got all the wheels on his car, but I'm not sure he's got much else of the car left.
All the wheels, all the parts, he still has a chance in this race. Oh, well.
Still confident on that, Chris? Congratulations, I do believe that is your very first commentator's curse. And Matthew Plaisance is out of the race.
I think that would be it.
Oh, that was amazing. Right, I love when that happens, because it always happens with me. It's at that point where you try and make a point, and then I swear to God they listen to us. They must do, because the amount of times that it happens, you're like, yes, well, I think this is going to happen, and then they do the exact opposite, like immediately after it. It's like, all right, okay, thanks for that. So yeah,
I didn't mean for that to happen.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Nobody noticed. But the thing is, as well, now is the fact that all of the battles are all spread out all through the field. Now, with Matthew Plaisance crashing out of the race, what we need to check is how that affects the standings for the championship, because Braden Mayling currently ahead of Michael Fowler, and Michael Fowler is into pit lane. He's been in there for 35 seconds, so he's just went in for his scheduled pit stop, I believe. And then looking towards the Pro-Am fight as well, Chase Wilson is ahead of Justin Delano. Chase Wilson is in second place in that Pro-Am battle, and Justin Delano is out of the race. Well, no, he's not actually. He's still going round, so he's still going to get points, but he's not going to have any chance of getting the title. So that looks like that Pro-Am title is going the way of Chase Wilson right now. And then on to the Pro class, Dean Timms currently leading Harry Wills. So Dean Timms is out on track, and Harry Wills is out of the race. So Dean Timms has won. Sorry, Chris, you were waiting to say.
No, I was just going to say that we've seen action in the pits more than you typically would in a race with only one pit stop in it.
Well, that's exactly it. I think we've had more trips to the pit stops than, because we've got one, two, three, four, five, about 8 cars already out of the race, which is quite impressive. That's quite an impressive amount of cars lost at this point.
That just shows, they're pushing hard. They're still trying, even though the championship is almost set, right? Before the race, you were talking about that mathematically it is still possible, but something pretty amazing has to happen, which in this track, I guess that's par for the course, if you will. Just amazing crashes happening and putting people out of the race. But yeah, it just seems like everyone's pushing a little harder. Maybe those changes to the physics is having a bigger toll than we really thought. Last week was at Daytona, right? And that's relatively tame. Oh, we have it.
Oh no! The teammates have taken each other out! Jonathan Dan Tenorio, goes wide at turn 1, goes across the grass, clips his teammate, Jonathan Ouellette, and the pair of them are, oh my good lord, and Ouellette's gone. Alette has escaped back to the pits. What? That is... Oh my lord. Right, let's get slow motion on this one, because this is going to be horrendous to watch here. So, Tenorio goes wide on the grass. He's already spinning that car on. Clips the back end.
Trying to dodge it.
Yeah,
yes.
Alette tried everything he can. That car is absolutely nailed behind. And then, wow, that is just horrendous for Jonathan Alette. Sent spinning back into the wall there. And he'll try and get going, but you can see that rear right tyre is just not working at all. That suspension is absolutely goosed. Well, I'm at the point I just don't know what to say with this race.
We're only halfway through the race.
We'd get a sweepstakes, Chris, on how many cars we think are actually going to finish this race.
One single car at the end, just lonely crossing the line.
Just a virtual driver standing on top, screaming. It's like Mad Max. Oh my lord, this is... I honestly, and it's always the US split as well. The EU lot have been fairly well behaved here, but this race has just been absolutely bonkers. And as you said, we're not even halfway through this final race of the season. So many things have been turned upside down, but that almost certainly now seals the pro victory for Dean Timms there, after a very, very unusual set of circumstances have basically set that to light.
You know, it has to be the changes in the engine. It absolutely needs to be said that this track is so dependent upon you knowing your car's physics, with all of the crests that you go over, all of the weight transfer that you have to do in the S's. Just, you have to know what your car's going to do. And if you have a change in that system just before, I mean, it could take a whole season to get used to the changes. You don't know.
Well, that's just it. And my first experience of doing commentary on these new cars, as we've had yet another incident. Andrew Hewitt now has decided that he has had enough and has decided to remove himself from the race here. The first thing I got to experience was last week. 2 weeks ago, when I was doing an endurance GT3 race at Road America, and the chaos that ensued with the Porsches, they really struggled. Their back end just seemed to wash away very, very quickly. And Andrew Hewitt is going to be at Skyline again, isn't it? Straight into the wall.
Yeah,
how many times have we seen that accident, that exact accident?
That curb is just a little bit too big to take that big of a chunk out of it. You basically don't want to touch that curb when you come over that hill, because your car's already light. It hits that, and then all of a sudden your back end is just, you can't control it. There's nothing you can do to rescue it once you get that just little bit of spin.
Yeah, because 9 times out of 10 it's just going to be looping it straight into the nearest barrier here. However, we've got a nice little fight here. Steven Martinez, Eric Kulaga fighting it out. You've got Steven Morcillo there behind as well, but Morcillo actually down in the AM class just now, so he's doing a fairly grand job there of holding on to that. In fact, I'll double check that we've not accidentally put him into the wrong chat. No, so he is in AMS, but 31 seconds, so he's obviously due us a pit stop here, but 30 seconds given this early in the race. We're just going over the halfway point now. That is quite the gap.
That is sitting pretty, getting comfortable, which could help a lot, because you don't have to push. You just keep an eye on the gap, make sure that you stay out front, and you can relax through the S's. You can relax basically through the entire top portion of the course.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I'm just double checking on some of the incidents that have happened here. Akraf El Haddad's coming down through Skyline. Is this going to be... Yeah, bumps over the curb there. It's going to be into the wall. Keeps it going though.
There you go. Stop
that's how
the
you do it.
pinball action with a little bit of brake action there.
Oh no, that
Oh,
is
no.
not what you want. John Trainer into Michael Kulaga. And that is going to be a fun time trying to recover that car there. My goodness me. Right, so all hell has been breaking loose if you've just joined us, ladies and gentlemen. 25 minutes into the race, halfway through. You've got fights very sporadically through the rest of the field. Brain Mailing and John Casey is one of the closest fights we've got for position in class. We're in the middle of some pit stops. I'd imagine the next or the majority of pit stops are going to come within the next 10 minutes or so, Chris. But again, you know, from your experience, what would you be thinking to yourself if you're seeing all of these cars, you know, having all of these issues? Would you be tempted to just maybe back off a little bit and just make sure that you and the car survived in one piece?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I would be taking everything at the top of the hill very, very carefully. I wouldn't be touching any of the curbs at the top, especially this one right here. Would never touch that one. It's too dangerous up there, and with all the crashes that are happening, you never know if you're going to come over one of these crests or around one of these bends, and there's going to be a car perpendicular to the track that you're going to just broadside. So you're always on high alert. You're more fearful of hitting someone that's already crashed than you are crashing yourself.
Yeah, and it always plays these mind games, doesn't it? You know, there's it's bad enough trying to race the cars out on track, but there's always this, you know, mental race that you're trying to have with yourself and the cars around you, trying to make sure that you can perform to your very best. But as soon as that lapse in concentration comes, and it will come for most of these drivers, you just don't get that opportunity to make that mistake here at Bathurst. And I'm also noticing that we have 21 cars left on the lead sort of lap. Make that 19 cars left on the lead lap.
Yeah, the field is so spread now that they're probably just trying to get into a groove, trying to relax a little bit, especially if they've already had an incident. They're just, at this point, you kind of just want to finish the race. It's not even really about overtakes or anything other than just smooth laps, finish the race, get the car through.
Well, that is exactly what a lot of these drivers are going to be hoping that they do. Let's take a little update on the classes then. Pro class is Kai DL with Taylor Lane in second, Dean Timms in third, Dan Tenorio in fourth with Ryan Kaprowski in fifth position. Pro Am is James Nunn with Chase Wilson in second, Steve Martinez and Eric Kulaga with Errol Arexoy behind them as well. And then in the Am battle, Stephen Morcillo back up, making up for lost amends after that first race there. Michael Wright in second, Brain Mailing in third, John Casey in fourth position, and Rick Swan in fifth as well. So that's how the different classes are looking just now. As you see, the groups all very, very, you know, thinly spread throughout the course here. This little fight here is getting quite close between Taylor Lane and Dean Timms here, but now we're starting to see some pit stops roll into the factor here. And for you, if you were taking part in this race here, would you prefer taking your pit stop earlier, or do you think you would want to leave it later?
You know, I'd probably want it earlier, to be honest with you, just so that you can hopefully get in a groove all the way to the end of the race, all the way to the checkered flag. It's just, if you're constantly thinking about, okay, should I pit now? Should I pit now? You go around again, should I pit now? You know, just get it out of the way so that you don't have to worry about it anymore, and then just drive.
Yeah, that's a fair point, I've got to say. Although, what I would say as well, Chris, is that you've had some love in the YouTube chat. I cannot remember who it was that you gave the commentator's curse to, but they're how dare you, your first commentator's curse be on me. But there you go.
Sorry about
you've got
that.
a fan already.
It had to happen to someone, I guess.
Exactly. And, you know, you've done your first, 8 80 minutes of, or you're just going to have done your first 80 minutes of commentary, and only having one, that's quite the feat. So that's a badge of honour to definitely wear this time by. But 18 minutes left to go in this second race, the final race of the season, and you do get a feeling here, and this will change, I absolutely guarantee it, as the pit stops roll in, but you do get a feeling it's exactly what you just said, Chris. It's now a case of survival. It's a case of the drivers thinking, right, I've not got anyone really near me, I just need to put laps in now and get this race over and done with.
Yeah, if you've noticed, a lot of the drivers after corner 10 going to Skyline, they're not touching that curb anymore. They're staying pretty far away from it for the most part at this point, because it's gotten too many of the drivers and spun them around. So everyone's being very careful at 11, 12, 13, 14 at the top of the S's. Ooh. Look like some rally drift action going on there.
Yeah, that's a bit of a clatter into the left side of the wall there for Braden Melling, and again just showing how easy it is to clatter these cars into the curb. But now we're starting to see the pit stops coming in here, Chris. We've got at least 5 cars from Pro-Am and Pro jumping in just now, but the pros at the front of the field are deciding to try and hold it out for another couple of laps here.
Yeah, with this much time left, I still believe that everyone's going to be in survival mode. I honestly, with the amount of issues and the amount of incidents that have been happening, I would be afraid to go over Skyline at this point, because you'd be expecting a car to be sitting there on the other side waiting for you to just say hi.
Well, Charles Michel's obviously forgot that there's a corner there. Some sort of issue with that car, because it took a while to actually get going again there, but he has got going. So Charles Michel just having a bit of an incident through into Hell Corner, and now Taylor Lane has got some company, because Dean Timms doing the fastest Sector 6 out of anyone, doing the fastest lap of the race, 2:02.27. So Timms is on an absolute charge, your champion elect, and that's a huge wobble out of the corner there for Taylor Lane. There's a lot of pressure here on this young man, and Dean Timms is applying that pressure firmly right now.
Yeah, getting into people's mirrors, just saying hello on either side, it gets them checking their sides, checking their rear view, just constantly looking at you instead of what's ahead of them, and that ultimately will lead to a mistake at some point.
And of course, what you want is basically them to have that accident, but for you not to be involved in it.
Right.
So they can hit the wall, but as long as you get by, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, the worst style of effective bullying, if you will, in someone's mirrors is the one we've seen so many times now, where you see them start to spin because they made a small mistake on the exit of a corner, but then you just can't get out of the way and they clip your rear quarter panel and you're spinning into a wall as well. And while your strategy did work, bullying them in the mirrors, it ultimately ate you up as well.
Yeah, that's what we saw happening between Dan Tenorio and Jonathan Ouellette earlier on there, that contact taking both of the Twisted Racing team drivers out of action. But we've got 15 minutes left to go in the second race of the evening, our final race of the season here for World Series Leagues, the IMB GT3 World Series 4. And what a championship it's been. It is definitely now in the bag for Dean Timms as Kai DL comes in through into the pit lane. In fact, no, he doesn't. He thinks about it and jinks out. Now he goes into the pit lane to take his pit stop. So I'm not sure what on earth happened there. Dean Timms comes cross line, start another lap here. But again, you know, with the fact that Dean Timms now is, you know, he's in the lead of this championship, he now can't be caught by Harry Wills. Wills just won't have enough time to do the laps in, even if he was to leave right now. So for the likes of Dean Timms, I mean, you're still just going to go around at almost a leisurely pace, you would think.
Yeah, the problem is at their heart, they're a racer. So they still are on the pursuit for that perfect lap. Even when you're relaxed, you're still like, oh, I probably should have taken that last turn a little bit faster. I could have been a little bit earlier on the brakes or later on the gas or whatever it may be, because you're still competing with your best time, especially if you want to get like fastest lap, or if you just want to, you know, make yourself proud at the end. So in these races where there's not a lot of competition going on in the points, mentally you're still saying, okay, there's got to be something I can search for here other than just the checkered flag.
Yeah, and that's, I would imagine, what keeps these drivers motivated and keeps their heads in the game, because doing endurance racing, that's where I really enjoy doing the racing. That's something I suffer from, is this sort of brain fade where, you know, you lose all sort of focus on what you're doing. Whereas if you've got a car around you, that really helps me get the best out of myself and the performance of the car. So I think a lot of these drivers starting to wake up now, especially Dean Timms just behind Taylor Lane here. You're seeing this fantastic fight. Another fantastic fight is with Chase Wilson, your championship leader for Pro-Am, ahead of John Traylor, right now, with just over 10 minutes left to go here. For you, Chris, how hard, if you were, say, in the position of John Traynor, do you want to take this position at all costs, or how do you think you would weigh up the risks of it?
Well, you have about 12 minutes left. So right now you're looking for any weakness in the driver in front of you. You're trying to find that one corner where they take it a little bit differently than you believe to be correct, and that you can exploit a little bit. Now, obviously, at Bathurst, it's almost impossible to pass at the top of the mountain unless something happens. Oh, jeez. These walls are just taking cars away from everybody. That impact is just so much power coming out of that turn. But yeah, you're just trying to find that weakness. So like right here, you test the waters a little bit on the outside, see how they react, see what happens. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe that's not the place to do it. Maybe it's down here at Murray's Corner. Or just take a pit. You're always looking for the exploits. So you're just trying to find that one spot where the driver in front of you is just a little weak, to see if you can get it.
One driver who's not weak just now is Ethan Bass, ahead of Kai DL now after those pit stops. That is 3 seconds to the good, but I get the feeling that Kai DL is charging down that Ford GT right now. Dean Timms in 3rd position. So all of our drivers have done their pit stops just now. So again, showing just how much fuel they're able to take in these tanks here. 10 minutes left to go. I think we're going to have a little fight coming up in the next lap or two for the lead of this race.
And hopefully, and we want to see a nice close fight, a nice close finish, a little bit more excitement. I know the field is very spread out right now, so it's a little on the lull side, but I guess we filled the first half of the race with so much drama that it's good to take a breather for a little while and watch these drivers just be able to get their cars around the track without issue.
Michael Fowler deciding to retire that car at the top of Skyline there. He's jumped back into the pits, so that car is not going to be taking any further part in this race just now. And as we said, then we've got 19 cars, I believe it is, still remaining in this lead lap here. Charles Michel is still circulating, but 2 laps down, and then Justin Delano, Jeremy Littleton and Jonathan Lett still going, but several laps down as well. So a lot riding on this, as we see Kai DL in that Lamborghini chasing down the Ford GT of Ethan Bass. And pit stop times not too unsimilar. Ethan Bass though deciding to pit on lap 7, and Kai DL deciding to pit on lap 17 instead. So Ethan, you've got to say really here, Chris, getting the undercut and timing that to perfection, just getting in and getting all that issues dealt with nice and early.
Yeah, at this point, I don't even know if you're worried about the undercut so much as more just getting your mind back in the game. So much has happened, so much that now I bet the drivers are all having a collective sigh of relief. The ones that are remaining on the track right now, just going, finally, just low drama. And,
You were saying?
and I'm gonna stop talking about that at this point. But
Dan Tenorio.
you're just hoping for just clean laps.
Right, I'm gonna stop this right here, Chris, and I'm gonna ask you to get your crystal ball out and predict what has happened here.
Oh, I'm gonna say just a little bit of tire in the grass, and then okay, it was the same curb, collecting people every single time.
Yeah, we need to rename that the Curb of Death. So yeah, that has not went
so
well.
Change it from Hell Corner to Hell Curb up at the top of the mountain there.
That is not ideal. Suboptimal, as Lewis McGlade would say. What is also suboptimal is the pace of Ethan Bass right now, because he has got Kai DL chasing him down at a rate of knots 0.8 of a second faster that last lap round by, and we've only got 7 minutes left to go in this race. Where has tonight gone? You'll be delighted to know that Matthew, well, I'm going to rephrase this, not that you'll be delighted to know that Matthew Plaisance has crashed again, but that you weren't involved, that you didn't have anything to do with this. We've got John Trainer off, and I believe that's going to be at the top of the hill as well. Goodness, so loads of cars crashing left, right and centre. Let's see what happens with Matthew Plaisance. It's going to be on the brakes to the left-hander here. Tail end's going to fish out. Oh, no, it's not. It's just going to be straight into that wall.
Just looks like a bunch of understeer in that situation. I wonder if there's damage.
God, there we go. That's what I thought was going to happen. That happens all the time.
The light rear end coming down that hill, making that left-hander.
Goodness me. Right.
And, that Mercedes has got quite the rear end to lose grip.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very, very heavy car at the best of times anyway, and the weight's so very well distributed. But yeah, that's not exactly what you want to happen here. Michael Kulaga onto the back of John Trainer right now, half a second separating the two of these, as we've got just about 6 minutes left to go in this race. So I would say probably about 3 or so laps left to go here. What a race we've had, though. It's been a battle of attrition, I think, is the politest way of putting this tonight.
Yeah, it's been one of the most exciting races that I've watched as of late, and very fabulous that I get to be here on the mic with you.
It's, yeah, I mean, there's worse ways to spend your Wednesday evening, I guess, than popping on. Just having a look from the back end of Ethan Bass here onto Kai DL as they climb up through the hill. This is through 4 and 5 through Quarry Bend there. And interesting point actually is that you know, I've done many race commentary, good English at this time in the morning. I've done many races for commentary here at Mount Panorama, and one thing that I've realised recently is the site that I use for the corner names is actually incorrect, because I was reliably informed by one of the frustrated locals that what I refer to as Quarry Bend, which is just, according to my map, is just after Mountain Straight, so turn 2, is actually turn 4. So it's Quarry Bend's actually after the cutting. So you swap Quarry Bend with Griffin's Mount, because Griffin's Mount is actually, Griffin's Corner is actually turn 2.
Yeah, Griffin's is 2. 3 is not named because there's the cutting.
Yeah.
And then Quarry is right after that, between like 5, 6.
Yeah, so it's obviously it's just me then, because you quite clearly knew that one. So it's just me that's been left out. And Charles Michel, no, that's down at turn 1. That's gone very deeply into that corner, that car. Let's have a look here. Is he just going to snag it on the brakes? Yes.
Yeah.
But how's he managed to go so deep into that? All
Maybe
right,
a
okay.
combination of brakes and then rear view mirror viewing.
Yeah,
In
at
the
least he's
least
got going
opportune
again.
spot. Yeah. Yeah, at this point, if you don't hit a wall, you're winning.
That's such. It sounds like such a low bar, but when you get to this point, honestly, you're just like, I just need to finish. For God's sake, I just need to finish.
That's the only spot on the track where you can make that kind of mistake, so I guess, all things considered, it may as well be there.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's relatively minor and risk-free as well. The worst you're going to do is lose time. At least you're not adding extra damage onto the car or any extra complications onto your already complicated race here. So the car's making their way around then. 3 minutes left to go in this final race of the season here. And what a season it has been. The IMB World Series League GT3 Season 4 Round 10 here at Mount Panorama. And as I've said before, it is of course David Christie. And rather happy, I would say, Chris Honoble, who has joined us here in the commentary booth. Final 3 minutes, Chris. What has your first night on the behind the microphone for commentary been like?
Well, I absolutely couldn't have asked for more destruction and action and incidents by any means. Like, honestly, I don't think anyone would have been surprised if you did accidentally stream Wreckfest. It was so crazy in the beginning. But all in all, you know, it just shows the passion that these guys have for virtual motorsport, and, you know, push it to the limit as far as you can go. And, well, unfortunately in this race, for a lot of people, it ended up in the wall.
Yeah, when you would say pushing the limit, I think some of the cars pushing the limit into a tin opener is what some of the cars are actually resembling earlier on. Dean Timms getting a slow down penalty towards the end there, and it ends up losing that third position to Taylor Lane, then has to give that one. However, our lead battle now is under a second, 0.8 of a second between Ethan Bass and Kai DL. So this is getting very, very interesting, and we've got what I think this is going to potentially be our penultimate lap. We'll have to see how they go when they cross the line. I don't know if they'll get across the line before that 50-minute mark here, but what a race we've had, and it just looks like we're on the verge of something impressive.
You know, at this point, it's, if you believe that you can make a move, you have to stay close, you have to be right on their bumper, and you have to position yourself so that you can do something either, you know, down the Conrad Straight, at the chase. You don't have a lot of corners left that are suitable for passing.
Oh, right, okay, sorry to jump in there, but Ethan Bass has had a crash coming down the hill. Under all that pressure there from Kai DL, the car's gone straight into the barrier, and I've got the feeling he's going to have hit another car. Oh no, so Charles Bushell loses it at exactly the same position. So it was so close for Ethan Bass, but that race is now over, and Kai DL is going to take the race win. There's absolutely no doubt about it now.
Yeah, there's no way that we can get a new battle going at this point. Well, at least we got a good demo of the new, you know, parts coming off the cars and the damage model. And
white flag then, final lap, so we just crossed
Here
the
we
line
go.
with just a second to go, and that means then that that Kai DL will start the final lap of the race. We've got one more time around. How many more cars can we lose from this race? That's not an active challenge, that's just a sort of facetious comment, given we've lost at least 10 to 12 cars here at the circuit here. Eric Kalaga, this is the battle for the final spot on the podium for Pro-Am right now, as Eric Kalaga just ahead of Errol Arexoy. So this is a fascinating little fight, and remember, they're going to have another time round to go, so again that gap could come down very, very quickly indeed.
at this point, you're almost fearful of anything happening. so many things have gone wrong for drivers, and if you're in a position where you can overtake or be overtaken, you're just in that mode of fear, sweaty hands, just hoping that nothing goes wrong in these final seconds.
Yeah. Oh! Like that
no.
for KTL. Oh, my lord. Right, okay.
What
so
is
what's just
happening?
happened there? That's Andrew Hewitt that's just went and T-boned our race leader, and that car is dead.
Oh, that car is dead.
Do you remember about 40 seconds where I said that KTL was going to win this race and that was absolutely guaranteed? Well, I don't think KTL is going to win this race anymore. So
Now
what's
it's
just
your
happened
turn.
there? Yeah, what's just happened there is I just put the monster of all curses on KDL. That car is absolutely done, and I'll tell you what, he's going to have to watch out. He's gone. That car back to the pits. How is Ethan Bass still going to win this race then? In fact, I'm not even going to say that just in case. But
We're going to pause all commentary for that.
just let him get across the line first before we actually do that. But yeah, what a race that's been. Our final race of the season for WSL is in the books. We come under the Armour All Bridge. We've got one corner to go, and it's the most unlikely race winner that we would have had 5 minutes ago as Ethan Bass comes out the final corner to win the final race. Taylor Lane in second place, Dean Timms in third, and takes the Pro Championship. Ryan Kaprowski finishes in fourth position. Back to the Pro-Ams then, James Nunn in the lead of Chase Wilson, 6 seconds ahead with Eric Kulaga in third position. Errol Erexoy is going to come across the line in fourth, I would imagine. We'll certainly see, because we've still got just a couple of corners to go. They've got 9/10 of a second, but here comes James Nunn to take the win for Pro-Am. And remember, it's Chase Wilson who we need to keep our eye on, and Chase Wilson goes across the line to win the Pro-Am Championship as well. So it's a huge congratulations to Chase Wilson. And then in the AM standings, it's going to be Braden Mailing who has already crossed the line. So Braden Mailing is your AM champion as well. Well, there you go, Chris. That has to be one of the most hectic races I think I've ever seen. Let's see exactly what happens with KDL coming out of Skyline then.
Okay, looks reasonable, but yeah. Just a little light on the rear end.
And then he gets absolutely battered from that Porsche.
Straight T-boned.
And then that car is just dead. Oh my lord. I can only imagine the swear words going through the cockpit of that car as that happens. Goodness me.
He was fighting with the force feedback, just going, what in the world just happened? Oh man. I bet there's a collective sigh of relief on everyone. Just, good thing that's over at this point.
I have to agree with you. Let's have a quick look at the results then for our seconds and final race of the championship then. Ethan Bass ahead of Taylor Lane and Dean Timms for that Pro final battle. Ryan Kaprowski ahead of the KDL in 4th and 5th. Dan Tenorio crashing out earlier on in 6th position. Jonathan Ouellette in 7th. Harry Wills finishing in 8th position there. Let's move on to the Pro-Ams then. James Nunn, Chase Wilson, Eric Kulaga, Errol Erexoy in 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Stephen Martinez in 5th. 6th place for John Traynor. Michael Kulaga in 7th. Justin Delano in 8th. Jeremy Littleton in 9th. Ashraf El Haddad in 10th. Justin Rustow in 11th position. Jeff Carollo in P12. Gary Brown finishing in P13 for the Pro-Ams. And then we move to the AMs then, and it is Stephen Morcillo taking the race win, undoing all that damage from race 1, taking the win from Michael Wright. Brain mailing.
Looks like we might have a show.
Let's see. We do. He's made it. He's absolutely made it. Absolutely smashed that one. As well, I think we're going to have to put the blimp on here and see all the cars going through. Charles Michel in 7th, 8th place for Matthew Plaisance, 9th place for Daniel Florea, and 10th place for Michael Fowler. So So there you go. That is, well, pretty much us done and dusted. So now all we've got to do is go and have a chat to some of our drivers. Let's go and have a chat then with Ethan Bass, who takes the win in the Pro Class. Ethan, a very good evening. And firstly, did you survive the jump at the end there?
No, I pitted as soon as I could, so I don't have the fuel for the jump, sadly. I was in park at turn 1.
So talk us through that race, and what was your thoughts going into that final lap, just as you passed that stricken car of Kai DL?
Well, the previous lap was beep, 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 beep. And beep, I hate the dipper. Ugh.
And obviously,
But,
I mean, you did an amazing pit stop strategy there to take the race win, but you must be fairly happy with how the season has gone towards the end, given that Ford has really come back to life.
Yeah, Harry let me come and just do some 2 guest drives, given the new build, and it was a good bit of fun to run them with the lads at Daytona. Daytona was close in race 1, back and forth between Kai and I, so that was good fun. And then in the first race, I definitely had too much wing or too much rake or something. I was getting mugged on the straight, so I did a couple of setup changes, and I held on to the lead for as long as I could. But once they get close enough with the draft down Conrad, you can't do anything to defend, really.
And obviously, it's been a very long season as well. Do you think you'll be bringing the Ford GT into season 5?
If I don't have a heart attack after 50 odd minutes of that, I'm going to go to bed, because I never had to just hold my... I wasn't holding my breath, but I was breathing as hard as you could possibly imagine, just trying to concentrate, because I've got speed, but I am on a knife edge more than I ever expected with the new build. Oh my god. Thanks very much for the broadcast. It's been great fun to watch, and thanks very much to Harry for letting me come back for Daytona and Bathurst for a bit of fun, and after the build, and thanks to the lads at Orbit and Hybrid Tune for the paint, and letting me, of all people, or letting this car, of all cars, race. So I wouldn't have many other teams let me do this, so they are the best bunch of lads ever.
Ethan, it's an absolute privilege to have you back. Congratulations on the race win. Can't wait to see you back out on track very soon.
Yes, thanks very much. I'm amazed as you are at that win.
So there we go then. Ethan Bass sounding rather delighted with that one. Let's go and have a chat with our pro champion, Dean Timms. That has a very, very nice ring to it, although one that maybe you wouldn't have thought at the beginning of the night.
No, not at all. Complete surprise. I mean, we raced in the EU race earlier, and Harry was on fire. He's a completely different class driver than me, so I knew it'd have to be a bit of luck to get it away from him, and yeah, thankfully it's on my side tonight. So yeah, I'm a bit gobsmacked actually. So
what I need to know then is, obviously you're part of Twisted Racing. You guys all have a share a voice chat channel. What was the colourful language that was happening when the earlier incident between Jonathan Ouellette and Dan Tenorio happened?
That was a surprise. Also, it was something like out of a Twilight Zone. All you kept hearing was Jonathan, Dan, are you there? It's as if they kind of disappeared and crashed into each other, and they both didn't know about it. It was quite strange.
Obviously, coming back to yourself through the season, I mean, it's been a long season. Obviously, it's very late for us here in the UK, but you've just been. It almost feels like it's been a case of who's survived the best over the entirety of the season. Is that how it felt for yourself?
Yeah, it's just been consistency. It's taken me a bit of time to get used to the car. I mean, I was in the Mercedes last year, which brought me a championship. I think this is my 3 and 3 actually. Am, Pro-Am, and now Pro. So yeah, switching to the BMW was a bit of a change for me, getting used to it. But it's just been a case of being consistent and surviving this season.
Not that you're rubbing it in, but a fantastic race nonetheless. Dean, have you got anybody you want to say thank you to?
Yeah, Nick Velton there, or nicknamed Twiggy. He helps me with all my setups. Rest of my team, and Harry for letting me get involved with the league. It's been a pleasure the last year, and long may it continue.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, congratulations, and can't wait to see you out there again.
Thanks, guys. Great job. See you later.
So there we go, Dean Timms there, a very happy Dean Timms. Let's see if we can bring in our Pro-Am champion, Chase Wilson. Chase, congratulations, Pro-Am champion. You worked damn hard for it, but either way, you're going to be very, very happy with that one, surely.
Extremely happy with it. It's been a long season, 20 races, 10 meetings, and the competition was always right there behind, keeping me honest. The second half of the season was not really going my way, gave up a lot of points, but just tried to minimize mistakes, and luckily came out on top this season, and looking forward to the seasons to come.
Now tell us how that Lamborghini was here at Mount Panorama, because it doesn't strike me as the most user-friendly of cars, and was it the handful that I imagine it would be around here?
Yeah, you definitely had to place the Lamborghini. The curbs where you had to avoid them at all costs, so just keeping it in the center of the track, especially coming through the chase and trying to avoid getting spun out a little bit. I did take a little excursion through the grass there early in the race today, but it overall handled really well and was flying down the straight, so I was able to keep my positions when I was in a little bit of traffic.
Did the carnage and chaos surprise you at all? As you were, it felt like almost every lap you would have had to have picked your way through someone else's accident.
Yeah, it was definitely stressful. I'm sure you could see on the broadcast there was a point where there was 3 two-wide cars going into turn 3, and I just kind of gave them the space they needed, but I was coming around blind corners and dropping into Skyline going Mach 3 and just praying that yellow flag had already been cleared out. But it was definitely a little bit spooky out there, but luckily was able to keep it right behind James Nunn a little bit and was able to secure the championship today.
Well, congratulations, Chase. Have you got anybody that you'd like to say thanks to?
Yeah, first off, thank you to everyone behind the scenes running the league. You guys for being here every week and allowing for friends and family to follow along while we get to do some racing on weeknights here. Definitely thank the folks, and thank everyone who's helped me try to get this car pointed the right direction for a successful season.
Well, Chase, it's been our pleasure to have you on board. Congratulations, and we'll see you next season.
Appreciate it, guys. You have a nice holiday season. Enjoy time with friends and family, and we will see you come February.
Excellent stuff. Thanks very much. So Chase Wilson there having a chat with us. And finally, we're going to have to wrap things up tonight. Let's have a chat with our AM champion, which would be, of course, none other than Braden Mailing, taking things from Michael Fowler by just 19 points. So we say a very, very good evening to Braden Mailing. Braden, AM champion, job done?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. Like, it was a tough season. It was a good fight. Lots of ups and downs the entire thing, and honestly, just coming away with the AM championship at the end of it is it's unreal. Like, I don't believe it, in all honesty.
So tell us about that race 2 tonight, because race 1 was an entirely different beast, but race 2 just felt like an absolute war of attrition, just cars getting launched left, right and centre.
Yeah, it was challenging. Panorama's, it's one of those tracks where you lose focus for just a second. Like I said last time, you lose focus for just a second and you go straight in the wall. It happened to me twice during that race, and thankfully the car came out in less than 2 pieces during those instants, and able to just bring it home. P3, I think I ended up, and that helped me secure this championship.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, Braden, thanks very much for coming and joining us tonight. Do you have anybody that you want to say thank you to?
Yeah, well, obviously, got to give a shout out to the team, especially Matt. Honestly, I think after this race, we ended up taking the team championship as well, and I couldn't have done it without him. Like, he's been a great help throughout the entire season. Got to give a shout out to our main sponsor, Skyline. Always does wonderful work when it comes to these paints. Like, honestly, it's just amazing. And then also our other sponsor, Grip Engineering. He's been helping us as well too, getting these cars on track in driving in racing performance. And honestly, like without any of those guys, I don't think we'd be where we were today.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, thank you very much for coming and joining us all through the season, Brading. We've really enjoyed hearing your feedback on things. So congratulations, enjoy the off season, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent stuff. So Braden Mailing there giving us our final chat of the evening. Now, I was a way to wrap things up, Chris, but there is two people that I know we actually do have to bring in, and that is Kai DL and Matthew Plaisance. And I'm going to start things off here. I'm going to apologise, Kai, for cursing your car, giving you the old commentator's curse, and inadvertently sending you backwards into the wall there. What on earth happened?
So after Ethan, well, first I would just like to say thank you for Twisted for the season, taking me on board this year. It was a good year, a couple of wins here and there, but yeah, I messed up pretty badly. Not really too happy about that, but yeah, I had a 12-second gap, and I was just cruising down the hill, thinking that nothing was really gonna happen, and I was going through there. Usually throughout the entire race, I always use second gear through that corner, but I was going so slow, I thought I could take it into first, and I was just kind of relaxing. I popped it to first, and the back end just locked and slowly spun, and I turned the traction control off to see if I could get the car spun around before he came back around, and Hewitt was there, and he just destroyed the back end. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the broadcast yet, but the reason I'm apologising is because at the start of that lap, I literally said, well, that's confirmed Kai DL is the winner of that race then, with the fact that you had that huge gap behind. So, yeah, I feel really bad. However, Chris Honorable here did his debut in commentary, and Matthew Plaisance. Yeah, that was a fantastic way to break him in by cursing your car instead.
Yeah, usually it's Harry, and you guess you just did it to me.
Sorry about that.
Matthew, how was your race?
That was not as bad as I was actually expecting, considering I just really learned the track this week. The goal was to just try to finish with as many points to try to maintain fourth, which I think I did. And yeah, after I crashed and I was in the pits, I went and watched the stream, and I saw right as I was just that little pivot around, that slide down the wall. I'm glad y'all liked that.
It was 9.5 for style points, but guys, listen, you've given us absolute joy to be part of this season. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're running short on time, so we're going to have to wrap it up there. But Matthew Plaisance, Kai DL, we'll look forward to seeing you guys next season.
Absolutely.
See you guys next season. Thank you very much, guys.
So there we go, Chris. That is just about all we've got time for tonight. I need to know, how did you enjoy your first night of commentary?
Absolutely loved it. Hopefully I can come back next season and do a couple of races as well, because I genuinely loved this experience.
Well, you were absolutely fantastic. I think on behalf of everyone that's been watching, congratulations on a very, very successful debut for commentary. We'll certainly make sure that we can try and get you back here for the US splits of this one, and for the future ones that they do with WSL as well. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is an entire season of IMB World Series Season 4 done and dusted, over in the blink of an eye. A huge thank you to everyone behind the scenes at WSL for organising it, to Harry and to the team. A huge thank you to Alex Goldschmidt and to Chris Honorable for providing comms with myself, David Christie, over the period of the season. I want to wish everyone, on behalf of everyone here and at WSL, a fantastic holiday season. Have a brilliant Christmas, a wonderful, wonderful New Year, and we will see you back in February 2023 for the return of the IMB World Series. Until then, take it easy.